Alone, Lizzie Pree retreats into seclusion at the Waterfront. After her past life was destroyed by the Empire and the dastardly Curtis Scuru, Lizzie has set out on a journey of self-discovery. But in these reclaimed wilds of Druckenwell, will she fall into darkness, or find an unexpected light?
Let's do the first thing we're supposed to do and roll a force die.
Oh yeah, just one, yeah. Right? Or
just one.
Seems to be all of them. Okay, here we go. Roll a force die.
Oh, I got 2 dark side for me.
Oh, well, I got 1 light side for me.
So you're starting out at a bit of a disadvantage.
As usual.
Our scene opens up. We see kind of a wide look out from Central Isthmus, you know, the slum around the Dicey Cantina. And there's the sound of a small single-person swoop making its way westward out from Central Isthmus to what is called the Waterfront. The Waterfront is the term that locals refer to the western edge of Central Isthmus, where what passes for civilized architecture devolves completely into unpassable swampland on which no construction can stand. The mud and slime and moss and tufts of grass grow directly on the floating debris and extend all the way to the horizon. All of this belies the depths of the bog that lies underneath. But the repulsor of the swoop keeps you up, and the camera pans up from the base of the swoop and comes around, and we see Lizzie driving the swoop out. And why don't you tell our audience a little bit about who Lizzie is and what she looks like?
Yeah, Lizzie has changed a lot. People from her past life probably wouldn't recognize her. She's wearing, rough, kind of cobbled together, heavy clothing, a far cry from the fashionista she used to be. Gone are her hats and her short cropped hair. It's starting to grow longer, almost to her shoulders. Messy brown curls barely contained by a handkerchief she's got tied on her head just to kind of keep them out of her face. She comes out to the waterfront to really just get away from everyone else. She's been through a lot. She likes to come here to be alone, to think and to train, work through the things that she can't discuss with anyone else.
On the waterfront, there's lots of buildings that Druckenwell has tried to build up on this marsh before that have kind of failed. It's a bit of a sunken city because Druckenwell's still largely industrialized, so every bit of land that was possible has seen something tried to be built on it. Lots of moss and greenery works its way up on the dilapidated buildings and everything. What kind of space does Lizzie seek out in this kind of urban jungle?
Well, one of the reasons Lizzie likes coming out here is that the landscape is kind of reflective of herself and her life. Like, she feels like a failure, that she's let everyone down, and her whole life, her past life, is in shambles. She used to come out here because she thought nothing grows out here, nothing good can happen out here. It's just, waste and destruction. But, she's been coming out the waterfront for a while, and she started to notice some more subtle things, like Spanish moss hanging in the trees, and there's a lot of greenery and lushness here, almost like the planet is overtaking kind of the folly of Druckenwell. She finds a lot of solace in that. There's this one particular building that it used to have, I guess, like a lobby that was all glass, and it's all, the glass and stuff is all gone now, but half of the lobby has been reclaimed by the swamp, and the other half is still there, kind of crumbling decay. So there's, some like a waiting area and part of a reception desk, but like the front door and that whole part of the building is just completely gone, and that's open to the marsh. That's kind of her favorite part because she can kind of stand on this dilapidated tile and look right into this pool. And I don't know what it is about this pool. It's kind of this gross, scummy emerald green. I mean, it doesn't smell bad. I guess there's that. She just enjoys coming here. It's kind of, there's cattails kind of growing inside the remains of this shell of a building. And it's a peaceful place for her to be, kind of trapped between both worlds. She enjoys it a lot. She thinks here a lot.
What does she kind of end up thinking about?
Well, all of her friends died or were captured by the Empire. She comes here a lot and relives the night that Scuru took her home away from her and burned her offices. She remembers Jeeves being shot and looking on helplessly as her friends were rounded up and driven off to who knows where under Imperial control, and having no choice but to just run off into the night and hide. She thinks about that a lot. She thinks about her new life and where she is underneath the Dicey Cantina, and the way she can help the rebels establish more of a foothold here. She thinks about revenge on the Empire a lot, and getting her friends back. Trying to find her place in this new reality, what kind of role she wants to play in that, what kind of a role she feels worthy to play in that. And then she also has had this troubling development.
I think I know where you're heading, and so I'm going to have you do the first roll for this adventure. So as you stand in front of this pool and are looking kind of in it, it's got, it's irregularly shaped. It's got the moss and the nature that's kind of grown around it with this tile. And you're having this moment of introspection, and I need you to make a hard discipline check.
Oh, good.
So it's going to be 2 purple and a red, because I'm also going to go ahead and flip a token too.
Oh, good. Let's do it. So here we go. I end up with a failure and a threat.
Excellent.
Net 1 failure and 1 threat.
I didn't get the despair I was looking for.
No, but she feels it in her soul just for you.
You feel this surge of strong negative emotion in you, this overwhelming feeling that's coming. Describe for me kind of that moment.
As I'm looking into the pool, the sun is setting, and the orange light being reflected in the water just reminds me of the flames of my office and my home. And suddenly I'm right back there that night with Scuru taunting me in front of the burned out remains of my life. I'm just feeling overwhelming rage, and then the gunshot rings out and I see Jeeves just collapse in front of me. There's nothing I can do. Like, grief just hits me like a wall, and I'm so frustrated that I can't do anything. As I'm staring into the pool, I notice the surface of the pool starts to ripple and bubble, almost like a rainstorm is hitting it, but there's no rain, it's just me. And as soon as it happens, I really get a grip on what's going on. It's scaring me. It scares me to see this. I try to get it under control, try to smooth out my feelings and make it slow down and stop. Bits of tile from the inside of the building are starting to break off. Plaster, stuff, bits of the ceiling, stuff starting to fall into the pond. I realize I've got to try to get a hold of this.
I think you make another hard discipline check. But you can have a boost dice for this one.
3 purple, 2 greens, and a blue. Cool. All right, let's roll that. That gets me a failure and an advantage.
So you don't quite regain control over these emotions, but you have this kind of moment that you've taken kind of a deep breath. For your advantage, off to the distance a little bit, you hear some noises that let you know that you're not quite as alone as you normally are.
No one can know about this. This isn't something that I talk about. It's almost something that I'm embarrassed. It seems to indicate a lack of control, some kind of weakness. I don't know what's causing it, really. I don't understand why this has started happening to me. I just know that it could be dangerous. I absolutely can't let anybody know that this is going on. So if I hear something that makes me think I'm not alone, then I immediately become fixated and focused on that.
So let's roll a perception on that then.
And what am I rolling against?
It'll be a hard check. So 3 purple.
3 purple, and then
you get a blue and a black die to it.
Oh, and a blue and a black. Okay.
Yeah, so the black is that you don't necessarily know, you were distracted before about where the sounds were coming from, but the blue is because you're honed in on this now. So
1 success.
1 success. As you focus in your senses, forgetting this kind of building pressure, this emotion that you had, and really go back to your roots when you were an investigator. You're able to make out some of the noises more clearly. They're back further into this building, and they're coming from a little ways off, and it's this kind of muffled sound. It doesn't sound like necessarily a large group of people, but you definitely have the direction that it's coming from. So, and you know that you haven't been observed yet, but you're not alone.
Okay.
Basically, there's kind of a hallway that's dark now that has got water and the moss kind of in it, and down that hallway you can kind of hear the echo of some sounds back there.
Well, there aren't a lot of reasons, not a lot of good reasons, why anybody would be out here. I come here to be alone. I don't usually encounter anyone else. This is I shift to high alert, drop into a crouch, and get my hand on my blaster pistol, move closer to the sound, up to the wall where the hallway starts, and try to listen again and see if I can't discern a little bit more.
So let's make a stealth check.
Yep. And what am I rolling against?
You're going to roll, it'll be the same. It'll be the hard check.
Okay, so 3 purple?
3 purple.
Any blue or black?
You can have a blue for being on high alert.
Okay.
I don't think there's a setback to this one.
Okay. That is 1 success and 2 threat.
Okay, you're heading down the hallway. You've got the crouch and your hand on your blaster pistol, because this is definitely the bad side of town. You're in the Templar swoop gang part of town. You hear kind of this muffled voice. It's still indistinct for you. It doesn't sound like a group or anything. It might be just an individual. As you get closer to the sound, there's a sudden noise as something jumps out from its hiding place in the overgrowth and startles you. And so you're going to take 2 strain.
Ooh, do I get a cool check or no?
Oh, it's nothing attacking you.
Okay.
So the consequence is that you take strain because it was a stressful. And there's kind of a pause in the muffled voices, and then the sound of a woman calls out,
Hello? Somebody there?
I am definitely not answering that.
Okay, that's fair.
Lizzie wants to know a little bit more about this woman before she reveals her location or her presence at all. I wonder how curious this woman is.
I think you haven't seen the source of the voice yet, so you're gonna have to. It's probably another stealth check, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to move around unseen.
She definitely wants to move around pretty cautiously, so let's do that. Because she's either going to try to hide from a person who's coming to investigate the noise, or she's going to try to move unseen through this area.
Yeah, you don't really hear anything or any indication that the owner of the voice is investigating around.
Okay, so same roll as before with 3 purple and a blue?
Yes, but there's a black now.
There's also a black. All right, cool. It's all a wash, except I get 1 advantage. No failure, no success, just 1 advantage.
So you hear just
I know someone's there. Just come out. Who's there?
Has Lizzie heard anybody else?
No, just this voice.
I step through the doorway and say, I could ask you the same question.
Who are you?
You first. What are you doing here?
I come here to think sometimes. Nobody's ever here.
Yeah, this is my thinking spot, too. I've never seen you here before. Does Lizzie recognize this woman?
No, I don't think so.
Lizzie steps around the corner and leans against the door jamb.
The woman you see there is sitting with her back up against the wall, knees kind of drawn up to her chest. She's got her arms draped around them. She's got long, we'll say mauve hair. There's a little bit kind of cyberpunk style to it, where she's got the sides are kind of shaved. And
she's human?
She's human.
She look like a member of a swoop gang?
She definitely looks tough, but I think you roll perception now.
Alrighty, we can do that.
You're still going to roll the same hard check, but it has a setback to it.
So with the blue and the black?
I don't think you have the blue now.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Just checking. So what am I perceiving?
So you're looking her over. You're using your investigative powers here.
Arguably, Lizzie's pretty familiar with the various swoop gangs. She's got a good memory for faces, too, so she's kind of running through her list of, everybody at the Dicey Cantina. This woman has mauve hair, so, if I know her or have heard of her, if I've ever heard of somebody fitting this description, she would remember it.
I don't think you have.
Okay. So, no boost die from me. All right. Girl's got to try.
Yeah.
Oh, and it doesn't matter because I got 3 successes and 3 threats, but 3 successes is what we're going to focus on.
3 successes and 3 threats. Okay. I gotta think about these threats.
I don't want to feed you ideas, but...
Oh, go for it.
Well, Lizzie's probably a little more notorious than she would like to be.
Oh, okay.
At this point in her life. She doesn't look exactly the same, but I'm sure there have been some rumors.
Looking her over, you can tell that she's a survivor. It looks like she lives out here in the waterfront area. She doesn't have any of the markings or the garb that you would expect to be associated with the local swoop gang.
Okay, that's a point in her favor.
You know, everybody has their hustle to survive out here, and you know, clearly she's no different, how guarded she's being with you. But there isn't a whole lot of like details that you can Sherlock Holmes about her life. She's not holding any weapon out at you, and she doesn't seem overly threatened by you. And she kind of gives you the same look over that you're giving her as you guys kind of size each other up. And then she kind of tilts her head to the side and is,
Hey, aren't you that disgraced PI? Huh. I heard you were dead.
This really raises Lizzie's hackles, but she physically relaxes. She's assessed this woman and determined her not to be a threat, so let's just be casual. So, how did you find this place?
I was just looking for a place to get away.
Looks like we have the same taste in vacation homes, I guess. Thinking spots, at least.
I doubt it.
Well, you're right. You really should have picked the lobby. It's much nicer. So you live around here, or...?
I guess you could say that. What's it to you?
Nothing. Just, you know, I guess I'll find a different building from now on. What are you running from, anyway?
I don't run from anything. I just come here to think.
Have any good thoughts lately?
let's roll the charm check.
Yep. Oh, that's right. I'm not good at that anymore.
You can always flip a token to upgrade.
Even that may not be good enough. What kind of charm check are we doing here?
It's going to be average.
2 purple, no black.
Now there's a black because she definitely
There's
doesn't like you.
Okay, well I don't like her either. And yeah, I'll flip a token, and what does that give me?
It changes one of the green to yellow.
Here we go. We're gonna do it. Gosh darn it. A failure and an advantage.
Failure and an advantage. So you had tried to charm her, you know, but you can tell her armor's pretty thick. The advantage, though, there's a bit of light that kind of glistens across her face, and you can tell that the sounds that you heard earlier was that she was crying. And to have heard it from so long off, she was probably sobbing. She's putting on a strong front for you right now. You can tell with that strong armor that she doesn't really want to open up, but you have that insight now into something's troubling her.
Okay. Lizzie drops the pretense, slides down the wall a little bit, and sits down. I'm sorry for the tough act. Just then, you caught me off guard. I thought I was alone out here, and she wasn't expecting to be interrupted, but yeah. I wouldn't be out here in a dilapidated, abandoned building on the waterfront if things were going great in my life right now, you know?
You can say that again.
Not to overshare, but I may not know specifically why you're here, but I know what brings a person here, what type of thing brings a person here. That sucks. I'm sorry. I hope you find the peace you're looking for. I hope you have better luck than I'm having. And with that, she kind of waits a beat and then moves to give her some space and move on.
It's just my brother. I'm all worried about him.
Your brother?
There's a gang out here that he keeps helping.
The Swoop Gang?
If you can call them that. It's not the Templars or anything, just a wannabe group. There's only 3 of them. Call themselves the Howl Runners.
Has Lizzie heard of them?
Let's make a knowledge check.
Would that be like streetwise?
You could do streetwise. I'll take streetwise.
I have streetwise, so let's do that. And what kind of a check is that?
So it's gonna be hard with a setback.
Hard with a setback. Now, Lizzie's been doing a lot of scavenger runs. That's primarily what she does now. Mm-hmm. So she's pretty familiar with the area.
I mean, the base knowledge that you have from those runs is you can get a blue for knowing that this is the Templars' territory. You're unlikely to have heard of the Howl Runners, but it's not impossible.
Yeah, I got 1 threat no success or failure, just one threat.
Okay. So you think you've heard of the Howl Runners before. Something about the name sounds familiar to you, but you can't place it. So that's the lie you get for your threat.
I mean, how deep is he in? If there's only 3 of them, it can't be that dangerous, right?
Oh, they think they're a hot Sithspit. They keep pulling these jobs and it's always, this will be the last one. Griffin, but Jake's not one of them. He just keeps thinking he's gonna do what they ask because they intimidate him or something. But this is Templar territory, so they're gonna get him killed and he just won't listen.
Well, you're right about that. And you know, they always think they're the next big thing, and it's easy to lure people in, especially people who are desperate or people who want to make a name for themselves. I've seen it a lot. I'm sure this makes you feel a lot better, but I think you're right to be concerned.
If I could just get him to listen, to see what they really are.
Nah, that's not going to help you. Why do you think he's doing this in the first place? Like, what drew him to do the first job for them? Do they have something he wants?
Nah, he and Torm just go way back. When they said they needed a mechanic, my brother just jumped right in.
A mechanic?
Yeah, he's good with bikes.
You know, that's a really valuable skill.
That's what I keep telling him. Focus on the repair shop.
You know, maybe you just need to get him turned on to doing work with a different crowd.
You don't think I've tried?
Oh,
But it's not what you sell, it's who you sell to. And he just wants to take us some burn thrusters out of here. Even if it gets him killed trying.
that's a noble goal.
Not to me. Not if he's dead.
That's true, and I'm sure you've told him that.
I don't know. But hey, you used to be a PI. Do you think...
Hey, I don't know anything about a PI, but I do know that a lot of people are looking for a good mechanic. Maybe I know some people who might be able to pay him for his services.
Well, he's on a job with them now. That's why I'm here. I don't know. Maybe you could offer to help instead, so he doesn't have to go.
What kind of work is he doing for these people?
They boost stuff like anyone else out here.
Whoa, who do they target out here? It's just the swoop gang.
My brother soups up their bikes so they can hit the TRE corridor over Central Isthmus. But they got their own ideas on making it big in the black market. Just taking stuff on the way to the spaceport.
Oh, highway robbery, literally. One of the oldest tricks in the book. Okay, at this point, Lizzie wants to make a check, and I'm trying to figure out what this check is called in this game system.
Okay. Well, what result do you want?
So she's trying to recruit Lizzie for this job. At this point, Lizzie's not even sure she has a brother. It seems like there's more to this story that I'm not getting.
Yeah. So you could do a perception check to kind of discern the truth.
Is that, again, a hard check?
She's opened up to you, so yeah, it's still a hard check, but you definitely get a boost dice to it, and there isn't a setback for it.
There is no setback. Okay, and I get a boost die. All right. Here we go. That is 2 successes and a threat.
So you can tell by the way that she, was wringing her hands a little bit, and from the posture and the fact that you caught her crying and that you snuck up on her, that the story she's telling you is legitimate. You don't have a cause to believe that she doesn't have a brother or that she's in some way affiliated with this swoop gang.
Okay. I mean, I'd be happy to talk to your brother, but I don't know that I have the skills or the inclination to, boost shipments bound for ports from the highway with a makeshift swoop gang.
Well, I'm sure with your smarts, you could figure something out. I never said you had to be a swooper. But if you could deal with those Howl Runners and get them to stop pulling my brother in, maybe we have a chance at a life.
And I think for your threat, Lizzie, she feels a tug to help.
Thanks for joining us in the Dicey Cantina. Enjoying the show? Consider giving us a 5-star review on iTunes or find more at diceycantina.com. Your support truly helps the show grow. This week's episode features music by Mark Eberhardt. Mark can be found on Twitter at Mark C. Eberhardt and as the GM and host of The Other Place podcast. The Other Place is a phenomenal actual play podcast in the Genesis system, in a custom setting of their own design. But don't just take our word for it, check out their latest promo at the end of the show. That's all for now, so pull up a stool and we'll see you here next week in the Dicey Cantina.
Hello, and welcome to The Other Place. The Other Place is an actual play RPG podcast set in a fantasy world on the verge of an undead apocalypse. Join Chauncey, Marta, and Peck as they journey across the continent of Fenrain, solving mysteries, hunting ghosts, and putting the dead back in their graves.
And as we turn towards the bar to start eating, I'm going to use my triumph to overhear a conversation next to us. And what I hear is two people talking about
A haunting.
I grab my whip curled up and I go and I use it still curled up and hit her with a cat of nine tails because she's that close to me.
Okay, make that roll.
It slashes across its chest and starts oozing black from where the cat of nine tails slashed across.
It's reaching out its little cracked hand, and I successfully, cut it off at the wrist.
Okay, what's the damage on your weapon?
I feel as though my life is drawing me to fight against the undead that are popping up all across our world. And there's just something about it that I feel I must battle.
Join us every other Monday for a new episode filled with suspense, mystery, and adventure. The Other Place is available now, wherever you listen to your podcasts.